sugar-coated vibes, as Emerson could say, and then tell them all sorts of things. If you are a Timini man, if you don't vote for your Timini president, then you are doomed. They give them all of these things. They don't care whether this man from this tribe is the one that is best or that one from that side is the one that fits most. So all they do is just see the people with political ideologies. And these are the ideologies that is bringing Sierra Leone down. Sierra Leone is a sweet country, as I started, taking into consideration with other countries in Africa or elsewhere in the globe. You know, it's not easy for people to interact in the way Sierra Leone people are interacting. I mean, we are seeing in some of these African movies, for one tribe to marry to another tribe is a big taboo in a particular family. In Sierra Leone, we don't have things like that. Until and unless the politicians try to abolish this means of polarization, then it will work. Another area where this polarization is going to start is amongst religion. I mean, like, for instance, the Christians in the country. You will see these born-again people, the born-again Christians. They will tell you, I will not attend the Catholic Church. I will not attend an Anglican church. I will not support anybody that is in a Catholic church or in an Anglican church. This is a means of polarization also. We have to look into these issues critically. You know? I mean, we need to tolerate ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. What do you want to say?
Okay. All right, Mr. Berete, I was just going to bring you in on this particular because she just made a little statement there. I don't know if I'm not quoting Miss Isata, but she said if you're a Timni man and you're told or if you don't vote for your Timni president or whatever, I can't quote verbatim what you just said, but Mr. Berete, could you just step in here and is this something that you heard during the elections, or was this something that you were guilty of as a party member or someone who's in the government? I mean, I'm not asking you to openly confess here, but basically, she just made that statement there. What do you have to say to that?
Well, excuse me. I was just trying to cite an example. Right?
Okay, no problem.
To cite an example of how things are happening, and there was this issue that was going on within the one of the churches in Sierra Leone, and then there was this proclamation that came that the Mendes are going to dance goboy in Makeni.
Okay.
Things like this. This particular statement made by some people from the south triggered a whole situation, a very big situation in the northern capital of Makeni. Things like this are problems in Sierra Leone. So even if you watch in religious lines in the churches, we are trying to polarize the entire nation, which is not good.
Right.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
From commenting on the issue that is ongoing within the Catholic Church, because I want to perceive that as being an isolated issue. The reason being, it has nothing to do with mainstream politics, apart from maybe the internal politics within the Catholic Church. But on a bigger picture, I want to know, and in fact, this has provoked me to do what I'll call even just a semi-empirical research, so that I go down to the people in Kailau, I go down to the people in Makeni, the people in Kabala, the people in Bond, the people in Kenema. Why did they vote? Sometimes there are also been a media hype in our country that the country is being polarized based on the voting pattern. When you have majority of people in Kailau that voted SPP, there is a tendency to say these people voted SLPP because SLPP is perceived to be a southeastern party. The same way, when people in the north voted the APC, it is being perceived that it is because the APC is northern rooted. Now, how do we position the development strategies of a particular government? For instance, 2002, President Kaba had a resounding majority from the north. He was voted overwhelmingly, even though he was heading a party that is perceived to be southeastern based. That is the Sierra Leone People's Party, which is the main opposition. Where is the evidence that the people in the north voted him because he has a northern link, or because his party was able to bring in peace in our country as a result of the devastation we endure? By the same token, when President Nkrumah was contesting the 2012 election, he voted the people. He asked the people that please vote me in based on my track record. If you don't believe that I have done so much in the agenda for change, if you don't believe that the free health care is working in spite of the very prestigious publication by Lancet in England that gave thumbs up for the success of the free health care, if you don't believe that the road construction, infrastructural development I'm undertaking across the country is something that will serve all districts, all regions, all tribes, do not put me in. That was the premise under which he entered the vote in 2012. So if he was voted and the South, he was able to get enough votes from Kailaung, Kenema, Moyamba, etc., constituencies that are perceived to be SLPP dominated, can we then account that, yes, the people believe in the agenda for change? That was why they give President Nkrumah a second opportunity to continue. If that be the case, how do we then defend that? If people, majority of them in the north, are we saying all those residing in the north are Timni people, are northern-based tribes or ethnic origin people? What about those who voted in the southeast? Are these all Mendes? Taking into consideration what Aissata Mahoy just mentioned, that there is now a mixture of intermarriages, whereby if you go to every district and every part of this country, you'll meet all the tribes there. So for me, this debate is more provocative in the sense it will ginger us up in academia to look at the evidence, even just doing a randomized survey in terms of people who voted X, Y, Z, so that we can have a control group, people that are not even exposed to the dynamics of a manifesto, versus those who are exposed to a manifesto. We do comparative analysis, what provokes their decision in terms of voting. I think that is my own interest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that end. I think this is going to trigger a whole lot of research. You're right, Mr. Barrington.
And indeed, I can tell you, you guys in our panel here in our audience, off the bat, that this discussion was put together based on the issue of us actually taking a look at this particular situation. Are we really polarized, or is this a media hype? Is this something that needs to be obviously something that needs to be addressed, because we don't want to sink into a situation as a nation again that we're going to experience some level of ugliness that we went through for 10 years in our life, where everything came to a standstill. We don't want to go back there no more. We want to progress from here on. We want our nation to stand together. But I will go to Mr. Sheku Sherry before Mr. Sherry, before you take the floor. A couple of years ago, I was actually browsing through Microsoft Encarta Encyclopedia, and the unfortunate thing is, when I looked at Sierra Leone, the population, there was a description that we said Sierra Leoneans do identify with regions in that country, and that took me aback. I mean, it was a bit insulting to me, and this was somebody from the outside looking into Sierra Leone, who said this, who did the research and said this. And is this a fact? Do Sierra Leoneans identify with regions other than country? And if so, is this an issue of polarization? Cheku, what do you have to say to that?
Well, that's a question that depends on who wrote it and how they viewed it. I don't know where they did a study. But I think a lot of us Sierra Leoneans, especially those of us who are living here in the diaspora, we associate as Sierra Leoneans, because I've gone to a lot of Sierra Leone events when things happen. We all go there as Sierra Leoneans. And even in Sierra Leone, you know, when the political, like when after every 4 years, politics is over, you know, people get together, we attend funerals together, we celebrate weddings together, we sort of take care of our things together. So I think there are a lot of Sierra Leoneans who identify with their country. There are a lot of Sierra Leoneans also who historically just identify with those that are from their own area. But that's the way people are brought up. You know, everybody, you can't just make a blanket generalization like that. I don't know, I won't dwell on that because I don't know the context of the study or that the person reached the conclusion. But what I'm just saying is we have to accept, what I want us to accept is that our society is polarized, and fortunately now politics has been like a catalyst to polarize the society further along regional and tribal lines. And that's a fact. If somebody doesn't want to accept it, that's okay. But we blaming the politicians. The society does not just consist of politicians. There are people who are beneficiaries of the polarization that is going on in Sierra Leone. Let's look at the journalists. That is one group that we really need to look at. The language that they use. If you take the reason why some people are feeling like this, like the current government, why some people, especially like people from the Southeast, a lot of them feel that they are being marginalized, is because of the fact that some of the journalists that are making statements that are really, really painful to people from that area are the same people who are being like promoted, I can almost say. Let's take an example of a journalist writing that the war, she could, like, let's take this is the reason why I didn't want it to go to I just wanted us to look at it as a concept rather than within political affiliation. But as long as we have started talking about APC, we've started talking about what the president, how we voted for him, then let's look at facts. Last year, a journalist wrote in Sierra Leone, who is now a special advisor to the president, when Charles Taylor was who we tried and convicted of war crimes in our country. When that Charles Taylor was convicted of what he did, a journalist wrote that she couldn't celebrate because Charles Taylor was not the main problem. It was the people of the Southeast that brought war in that country. And some of us from that area of the country knew how we suffered. I lost half of my classmates. I come from September. Half of my classmates I lost during that war. So for somebody to write that, and then for somebody 2 years from that time, or 1 year from that time, is now a special advisor to the president, there's a special problem. In a society, people who make incendiary statements like that do not really need to be rewarded. But I don't know what are the criteria by which we use to reward to make political appointments, you know. So the society is polarized. The only thing we can do, I don't know, I mean, Mr. Berete can come in and give his own and argue on that point.
Well, let me say this quickly before I allow Mr. Berete to come in. You know, we cannot talk about polarization in Sierra Leone devoid of politics. It definitely is going to go to that. That's obvious. You know, we cannot bury our heads in the sand in that particular situation. As ugly as it may be, as something as slippery a slope as that, which we all fear, we don't want to, you know, step on toes. The obvious fact is that it is going to go there anyway. You know, that's just a fact. The particular situation or scenarios that you drew, you know, I'm not directly affected, but I would say yes, I agree with you. Those are incendiary statements, and if that was the case, I did not see that particular quote in the media.